and I'm currently working at Wells Fargo, working in fintech. So really excited to get to know you more.
Excellent. Well, I'm really here just to kind of observe the magic for you two. But I will say that Yarency was the CEO of her company, Trash to Treasure. I love their pitch. Hopefully, we've got some B-roll to show you some of that pitch back in the day. They were incredible. They identified this problem in your NC. You can elaborate more on it, but they identified that people from outside the community of East Oakland were coming to dump their trash. And again, in the spirit of entrepreneurship, they said, okay, this is a really horrible problem that affects all of us in terms of health, well-being, pollution, like so many negative elements of this. How do we turn this challenge into an opportunity? And how do we reclaim things that people are throwing away and leaving in our community and turn it into a business that's going to improve people's lives? Yarency, can you just give us it's been a long time, but can you give us a little bit about that and kind of your leadership journey in a couple minutes?
Yeah, so we wanted to start a business where we wanted to give back to the community in a way that was meaningful to us. And so we did notice that this was a big issue for many students like myself. A lot of us walked to school, so it was very common for us to have to walk on the side of the street where the cars were driving, because the sidewalks were constantly, many of the sidewalks were constantly covered or blocked with, trash that were dumped by people. And so that is kind of one of our driving motivators for wanting to create Trash to Treasure. And so as CEO, I worked with my team to find out ways, okay, we know that this trash is here. What can we do about it? And how can we kind of encourage other people in our community to be more aware of these issues that are affecting all of us, and maybe find ways that we can improve the way we go about recycling and teaching people the importance of not just dumping your trash randomly. And so that's where we started kind of this initiative. And it was through that where we developed 3 products for our business instead of 1. And yeah, I felt like it really brought our team together, because a lot of us, with thinking about 3 products, a lot of us were able to pitch in our own ideas and build on top of each other's ideas. And I felt like that was a really great way for us to bond more. And I feel like that it made our working style more effective as a team. And I think that was a great way for us to really bond over our business idea, and also make progress towards helping our community as well.
Okay, wait, I need to know what the products are. This is very important to me.
So we had 3 products. So one was called the Happy Jar, where essentially we would collect glass bottles from around the community, from classmates, instead of having them throw them out. And we would, clean them with cleaning products. And essentially we would collect I remember we would collect papers from classrooms where they were about to be thrown out, and instead of throwing them out, we reused them to make origami stars. And inside of those stars, we would write little quotes to uplift whoever would buy a Happy Jar and read them. That was one of the products. Another one was led by my teammate. She had the idea of creating little robot keychains out of soda cans. Yeah. So that was one of our really popular ones. And the third one, we created snow globes. Yeah.
The ideas got more and more inventive over the years, right?
Exactly.
Because when I first got involved, it was a lot of stuff that I don't know, I don't want to say there was a formula to it, but there was a certain amount of products out in the world that you could do as a kid and customize and make, whatever it was, lip gloss, keychains, whatever. But it was a little bit you could buy prefab ingredients, or you could just have put your hands on it, put your mark on it, but it was, you know, a pretty like obvious idea in the world.
Mm.
And I feel like, Ryan, was it around COVID that the ideas changed? Like, can you like just butt in for a second and tell a little bit of
Yeah,
that
I'll give the
evolution?
short version. Yeah.
Notice
Yeah.
like a real shift.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think this is again organizationally where we try to follow our students' lead of turning challenges into opportunities. And so during COVID, we had this incredible challenge with all of our students remote and, you know, inaccessible. And then we seized on that to actually create BUILD's first digital offering, which was our BUILD Design Challenge, which is free and open to any educator, especially those working with youth and under-resourced communities, but any educator in the country can pick it up on build.org. What that did was to bring together in a really dynamic way our design challenge content. So it's helping students really go deep in human-centered design. And what sparked the shift that you're talking about, Alana, which I also remember, and I used to remember, oh my God, how many more hoodie businesses and t-shirt businesses and lip gloss? Like, we don't need one more, you know, hoodie business. That's it. I've been proven wrong. There are new and innovative ways to do a hoodie that our students have proven. However, the key there is that what happened is students used to do empathy walks around their school, which was great, but they kept hearing the same ninth grade problems come up. My sneakers get dirty. I need a better way to organize my backpack, right? It's like ninth graders are wonderful and they have a set number of problems that they're usually dealing with, right? On a day-to-day basis. What we did is expand that world by bringing in really rich video footage of diverse clients with all kinds of different challenges from across the country, from all of our regions. And that just really elevated the whole dialogue. So now we've had, you know, Yarency and her team, which even they predated that time. So they were ahead of their time taking on these bigger problems, you know, and challenges. And, you know, we've had a winning team from Woodside High School that interviewed their uncle who is vision impaired, living in Mexico City, struggling with electric vehicles that were too quiet for him to hear. And their solution to that was to take the walking cane and make it essentially a digital motion sensor, so that from the cane you could get audio cues if there were objects moving at high speeds around you, right? So that's some of the stuff that our students have taken and run with just in the past couple of years.
Light years ahead of the like cell phone cases. It's amazing. Although nothing against the cell phone.
Nothing wrong with the cell phone case, and it's a little bit saturated. You know, the market's a little saturated. So.
Okay, thanks for letting me interrupt, but that was
Absolutely.
a huge thing. I love that, walking in the community and seeing that. I'm a real thrifter too, so you got me right in the bones, Yarency.
Yeah, I would say I'm also a real thrifter too.
Amazing. Well, I just want to open it up for a conversation between the two of you to say, you know, Alana has now, you know, decades of experience as a leader. So many decades. I mean, centuries.
So many.
Of experience. And I feel when I speak to the two of you, I have this like kindred soul and spirit where you both are incredibly kind, incredibly bright, no nonsense, right? I remember Yarency leading her team with like great kindness, but also great clarity about like who's in charge and like what's going to go down and how we're going to get this done. And you had some wily boys, you know, that you had to kind of, you know, you had to get engaged and you did incredible things together with your team. And we're a very collaborative leader. I just remember that. So I'm so curious to hear like where your journey has gone and what Alana is seeing about the future of tech in this hard tech era. So I just want to open it up, Yarency. I know you have a bunch of questions, and we can kind of open it up to your questions and just have a dialogue. And I'm going to fade into the background and only jump in when I'm inspired or you all need me.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you. So I looked into a little bit about your background, and I saw that your book really talks about like how tech culture has really evolved, especially since 2020. And so I was curious to know.
Blur on. Keep going.
I was curious to know from your perspective, like, what do you feel is fundamentally different now from 2020, other than, you know, the AI boom?
Hold on, that is the book.
Oh, nice. And Ralphie's got you on the visuals too, Alana. We got some visuals coming up.
Lovely. So I would say that I felt like I needed to write a second edition after 5 years, but some of the things I talk about in the 3 new chapters were slowly evolving over time. It wasn't like some light switch flipped in 2020, but I hadn't prioritized them in my first edition because what I was really focusing on was more about making sure women knew that they could belong in tech, that people come from all different backgrounds, all different paths, all different walks of life. And they could have gone to school. They could have not gone to school for anything like this. They could be into sales. They could be into legal. They could be an engineer, right? But there's all different career paths. And I interviewed over 80 women, and I spent a lot of time sharing their stories, you know, covering bad days, but also the skills they built over time. But I didn't talk as much about what the system was like in tech. What were the companies like? What was happening in the employee experience? What was happening to trust? And, you know, the overall world and their ability to trust tech, but also the way the employees felt about their employers. And I'm sorry, can you just hear my dog growling in the background?
No.
Would you shush? We live in a lovely suburban neighborhood, and this dog is constantly on patrol.
A lot of commentary about your work, Alana.
Just commenting about what I was saying. So, Yarency, you know, at the end of the day, I sat down and actually wrote like what happened over the last 20 years.
Mm.
And like, how did these companies that started off with such idealistic aspirations end up becoming essentially not even part, but, you know, huge players in the capitalistic structure that we're part of today, to the point where when times got tough, they decided to lay off a lot of people versus doubling down on employee experience, that there is such a hard pivot into AI. And what does that mean for us as employees? But also, why, as an employer, would you have done that? Lots of things. And I just found it very both interesting, almost as a sort of like, I was a history major, like as a historical moment, but also because I saw so many employees feel disenfranchised, disempowered, not knowing what to do next in the experience. And so while I wrote the original book focusing on women, I thought, wouldn't anyone right now need some chapters, almost as group therapy, for what's been going on in tech and why it just feels like these businesses have changed so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that is the sentiment that a lot of us feel right now, especially like those of us who just recently graduated from college. We feel like it's definitely more challenging to break into tech. So that kind of reminds me, like you mentioned that you have like a background in history. So I was kind of also curious, what did you have someone or like a mentor, or what inspired you to break into the field of tech?
Oh, back in the dark ages, Yarency, when the internet was being birthed. No, I didn't have anyone. I was going to the University of Virginia, so I wasn't like in the heart of Silicon Valley or anything like that. I was like, there were cows closer to me than like tech CEOs. But I was really interested in the ability to create. Um, I was someone who like was into poetry and art, and I was an artsy type. And this idea that I could make websites and create things and just do so with like, a click of the fingers, change colors really quickly, have fun with fonts. I think that I had been raised on computers, but as more of a like word processing, early gaming communication vehicle. And this was the first time that I thought, oh, it could be an artistic or a communication one. And I just personally got into it and talked my way into various internships where I would, do whatever they wanted me to do, but also make their website. And also one that was a little bit more technical at a given point, and it was just me and a bunch of guys in like a computer lab. But no, I don't know. It was just one of those things I was inspired to do despite no one actually understanding it around me. And in fact, my advisor in the history department, when I said, oh, I think I might go and, try a career path down this road, he was like, why would you do that? Just no understanding that it would become a thing at all. And that sometimes, I mean, in entrepreneurship, sometimes best to ignore the people around you. Sometimes you're the only one who will see the vision. And I think if you truly have the energy and the belief in it, it's worth at least giving yourself a shot at it and seeing what it could become. So I think that was just one of those moments.
Amazing. I want to break in for a second, Yarency, because the part of your bio that I neglected, which is relevant to this kind of parallel, is you went from Lionel Wilson Academy in East Palo Alto to Stanford and studied computer science. How many students from East Palo Alto generally go to Stanford?
Yeah, so
Sorry, East Oakland, my apologies.
Yeah, East Oakland. Yeah, it's actually not that many from what I saw, but yeah, it was definitely like a challenge to, break in to like the field of computer science, especially as someone who like similar background. I didn't grow up coding. I learned coding at university. And so it was definitely a challenge to feel like, oh, I have to like catch up. I need to, work extra hard to.
You were kids who'd gone to coding camps, who took classes in high school, and as one of the only girls, I'm sure as well, or you can count them more easily. Pretty impressive.
So that like I really resonated with you with like feeling like you didn't really feel seen in the sense of like do I belong in this field? And it's really important. I feel like in times like that you really need to believe in yourself and really not let others tell you that you can't do it. And I think I'm glad that you did that, and I feel like that's something really important for every person to like really believe in themselves.
I think one of the things that I wish I'd learned earlier though was like I think that because of where I was, how I was raised, but also like my own internal standards, I think that if I wasn't getting an A in something, or at least a B, like I just was like, it's not for me. Like I shouldn't do it. And I think as I've gotten older, I am trying to accept a little bit more that like you if you want to do something, you should work hard at it, but like you can be decent and not the best. And I do think that it could be hard to like enter in an environment like that where it's so hyper competitive and just stay focused and not like feel like you have to outpace others or you're in some like competition vying for something.
Yeah, I remember a lot of advice, or I guess one of the most important pieces of advice that I would hear from TAs and professors is that, you can be the smartest person in the room, but it's really, your hard work being like etiquette that will take you far, and like being curious as well. Yeah.
I'm glad they're saying that, because I think sometimes they don't say that in classrooms, and it can just feel like, if you're not the smartest, why are you there? So I'm glad that there was that perspective that there's like so much more that it takes to success than just being able to do the work.
Yeah. And yeah, so on top of that, I also wanted to ask another question that kind of relates to technology. So if you were starting your career today, maybe you already answered this question, but what advice would you give yourself navigating technology in the world of today?
I have a general answer, which was that it took me a while to figure out to ask for what I needed and what I wanted, that I didn't know that there seemed to be this sort of like unseen thing that some other people knew, to like be talking to their boss and talking about their aspirations, to throw their hat in the ring for things that seemed out of reach, but just do it because they wanted it. And I sort of sat around for, I think, a little too long and waited to be crowned, which is more common amongst women and minorities in general. And it starts to catch up. You're not quite there yet, but like in the mid 20s, then you start to see some people pull ahead of other people. Like you kind of all start off in the same place, but all of a sudden, some colleague is a manager, some colleague got the next opportunity. And it took me a little while to realize that I really needed to speak up and talk about what I wanted and push for what I wanted, ask for what I needed, in order to really steer my career where I wanted it to go. And so I generally think that if I was starting now any career, and mind you, I still have to remind myself now for this, that I would love to accelerate that journey. Like, I wish I knew that earlier. I think now I would just want, and I'm trying to reassure people I know, that the hype around AI, it's not that it won't change a lot of things, but humans are very bad at predicting the future. And all of the things being said now either won't come true or won't come true right away. So I'm seeing a lot of people being discouraged about their path that they wanted and thinking they have to scrap their path. And I'm having more of a conversation with them, well, are you excited for that? If you're excited for that path, let other people drop out, you stay the course. Now, if you were just doing it because you thought that was what was the safe route, well, you're right, it's not as safe anymore. So where is your energy and passion? What should we be exploring? And so I think I would, like, if I was still, I mean, I graduated from college basically into the .com bust, and I stayed the course, right? And amid the .com bust, got the job at Google. And it was one of the companies that survived that period and became very successful. And you don't know sometimes. You're just going to try something. And I think you just have to remember it could end up being a 20-year career somewhere. You also could decide to move in a year or two. I think there's a lot that maybe I thought was you had to like know everything and immediately get married to your employer. when you could date, you have a little bit more flexibility. Anyway, I was basically a straight A student who just wanted to do very, very, very good at anything I did. And I think I would try to comfort baby Alana and let her know that you could, that some of the struggle is worthwhile, and you can move around and you won't immediately be poor again. You have time.
Yeah, that's really great advice. I feel like I resonate to that a lot, and it's easy to forget that it's okay to not be like really great at things the first time around. And I feel like that's something a lot of people, especially like people in their 20s, feel like they need to have their life figured out. They need to have everything, just like perfectly. But I think it's
It's
good
so
to
funny because
remember
the
that.
minute you're not in your 20s, you like look at 20-year-olds and you're like, why didn't you play around? Why didn't you travel more? Why didn't you go teach English in like the minute, like you're like 30 and 2 days and you're like, that child, what was she thinking that she had to keep things together? That was your fun era. But yeah, no, I do think that there's, especially like if you're trying to make a better life than you had, right? Like this is when you can establish yourself and you're very focused on that upward ascent. And so I definitely don't think I felt like I really came out of that until my 40s, honestly, because in my 30s I started having kids. So then I was just surviving that. And so like the first time I looked around and was like, oh, well, what do I want to do now? Was actually in my 40s, which I mean, it was good from one perspective. I was successful. But on the other hand, was there an opportunity cost that I didn't realize that earlier or take some chances earlier? I don't know. I actually like my life quite a bit. I don't have huge regrets, but I do, I don't want to sound sad, but I do think that I see some people get overly focused and serious and afraid of failure maybe a little too early in their career.
I think we're coming close to the official end, and maybe we can have some bonus time because this conversation is way too fun. We need some kind of extension or a follow up. One of the things, Yarency, just in terms of your experience, and maybe Alana can also reflect. At Build, we're really focused on, regardless of what the new technology is, right, or the shift. And Build started in the .com bust as well. 1999. In East Palo Alto, and so right in the heart of what Alana was experiencing. And I think one of the things that's helped our longevity is that we haven't focused on just one skill or saying like, hey, let's teach everybody coding. Wonderful, love the programs to teach people coding, really important. What we've focused on is entrepreneurship as a vehicle to develop skills like communication, collaboration, problem solving, innovation, self-management, grit, things that we believe, can only be done by humans and can help navigate the ups and downs of technology and economy and society. And just wondering, Yarency, is there one of those skills that, or something from your Build experience that you found has helped you weather some of the challenges of being at Stanford or of launching? Sometimes the hardest thing is leaving college when you're no longer on a set path and now you got to figure out what's next. Just love to hear, is there anything that you still hold with you that's helped you in your life?
Yeah, I would say definitely communication, the skills about that we learned there, communication, understanding, the people you work with, fostering good collaboration. I feel like that's been really important because at school we work a lot, with other students, projects, and having the skills to help, navigating like dynamics, group dynamics, and even now that I'm at work as well. So I feel like these skills have really helped me become better with working with others, for sure.
Alana, is there anything that you think, is there a skill that has really helped you weather the variety of phases in your career and also professionally and personally, the whole thing?
I mean, we have a lot of overlap in the things that we talk about between your programs and the things that I talk about in my books. And I think that, this mixture of patience, but also a certain amount of grit, like the muscle to get back up and turn failure into your next success and get stronger and stronger over time, because like you really clocked the challenges and learned from them. I, not only did I see that really help me in my life, but when I interviewed women, it was something that they had many names for it: Teflon skin, thick skin, grit, whatever it was, but such a common thing. I know it's kind of trendy to talk about it, but I do think that ability to let some things go and ignore and just stay the path you want, but at the same time turn adversity into success is huge, just huge. And I know you all focus on it. I see it in the presentations when the kids talk about the setback and then pivoting and all of that kind of thing. So I just applaud that, because I think it's every day in the workplace pretty much. And so learn it early and often.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, fail forward, right? And learning to fail and not being afraid of it, right? So I agree with that completely. And Alana and Yarency, thank you so much for coming today. I feel like there's been so many golden nuggets of advice from both of you. Alana, I love the just date some companies. You don't have to be there for the long haul. And
Not at the same time. Sorry, that gets you in trouble.
Just one. And Yarency, thank you so much. I mean, you said communication from Build, but this conversation has been absolutely amazing and inspiring of everything that you've said as well with Alana. So thank you guys both for coming so much. And we are at time, but I just want to give any last things to say to our audiences from both of you before we kind of close out the night.
I'm sure we can put a link to my book somewhere if people want to hear more about the hard tech era. It's on Amazon, The Adventures of Women in Tech, Navigating the Hard Tech Era, or on my website, alanakaren.com. Find me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to chat to builders.
Done and done. We got it in the chat, and Ralphie's behind the scenes getting some visuals up there. Really deep and powerful and timely stuff. So we appreciate you sharing that in many forms, Alana. Hope this won't be our last conversation. Yarency, you get the last word. Anything to close us out with?
Thank you all for having me, and I look forward to joining more sessions and helping in any way I can. Yeah, Build has definitely been a huge part of my journey as well.
Awesome.
Well, we'll let that be our closing words, Yarency, from our alumni. Amazing. Thank you guys both for coming, and we will be back next Tuesday for all of our viewers. So we will see you then for more of these amazing conversations between builders and past board members and more than that. So we'll see you next week, and thank you both again.
Don't forget to help out with our end of year campaign. We're almost there. You can text or click the link to donate. Appreciate you. Thanks so much, Julie. Thank you, Alana. Thank you, Yarency. Amazing. Take care.
Amazing things happen when a 14 or 15-year-old can stand proudly and say, I'm the CEO of a company that I created. It completely changes what's possible in a young person's life. They realize that they can be as brilliant in a boardroom as they are in a basketball court. BUILD connects the dots between school and the real world by helping students start real businesses with real money that they get to keep. And we connect our young entrepreneurs with an amazing network of caring adult volunteer mentors from the business world who light a path along the way. Our young people are savvy and resilient. They know how to hustle and they know how to lead. In fact, they might be leading your business one day.
Let's talk about the BUILD.org program for you. What if I told you there was a different way to build? Anybody can be a part of this. It's easy. If you have a passion, then you can make a difference. Whether you're in music, gaming, sports, and more. Raise funds for students across the nation. This will allow you to help provide educational tools for students everywhere, using your passion and your resources to raise money. So this is a place where even businesses and partnerships can